everyone, my name is Selena and I want to welcome you to my channel. And I'm motivated to do this video because for all you moms that are scrolling and you're pregnant and you're just looking for motivation and you're just feeling that anxiety and that fear and that anxiousness towards the end of this pregnancy, I got you, sis. I know exactly what you're feeling. I've been there. And so I'm just here to give you my raw, uncut story of my birthing story with my daughter. So I just want to start off with saying that I was 10 days overdue. I had my daughter naturally. I had a successful VBAC, so I was so determined and I worked so hard not to have a repeat C-section. And I know they tell you that once you have one, you have to keep having them. And I'm here to tell you that that simply is not true. So don't fall for the okey doke with those doctors, because the reality in the medical field and pharmaceutical companies, in my opinion, it's a business. So you have to remember that, and you have to cover your own back. And I'm just here to encourage you and tell you what I did to ensure that I had the birthing that I desired, not what a doctor told me I was gonna have. So I just wanted to kind of touch on my first experience. I ended up having an unplanned C-section with my son Roderick. And I'm just going to briefly touch on that. But if you want to hear, you can subscribe below. And I'm going to tell my story of Roderick's birth story. But with my first son, I was induced. I wasn't even in the hospital an hour before they, tricked me into an epidural. And then they gave me, what was that medicine? Pitocin. And I labored for 19 hours for them to just get tired of me laboring, because that doctor was almost off work. She told me she had worked 20 something hours and forced me into a C-section. As a result of that unplanned C-section, I had postpartum. I didn't heal well, and I was traumatized. I waited 4 years to get pregnant again. And it was that traumatic for me. And I felt the energy of being just a number. And when they severed my birth process, because that's what they did, they severed my process. They cut me open, took the baby out, and they robbed me of that experience. And I knew that they were just being impatient. The baby's heart will fluctuate. Contractions are happening. It's just a lot going on. It wasn't an immediate danger, in my opinion. And as a result of that C-section, I had postpartum, which women do not talk about, and I didn't know it. And I kind of hid it because I noticed when you're trying to tell people, I remember with my son's father, we were engaged, and I remember telling him after I had the C-section, that I'm not healing well, that I'm struggling. I didn't understand what was going on. He looked me dead in my face and said, "You're just being vain. My mom had 2 of them and you're just being vain." And it just shut me up. I just didn't talk about it with him. And that relationship, we ended up breaking up. It was a nasty breakup. We fought a lot. It just was ugly. I'm not going to go into details for the sake of my son because he loves his father. What I will say is that relationship went south. It just went downhill. And I just couldn't quite articulate that I had postpartum. And I didn't know. I just knew I wasn't myself. I thought I was just healing from the C-section. And it's really sad. I call them mommy bullies. And women, you have to stop doing that. Because I'm not sure why we do that to each other. These mommy thugs, like you go and you bully a woman for having a different experience than yours, or you tell her she's weak, or I didn't go through that, or I had moms, "Oh girl, you'll be fine, I've had 5." Well, no, I'm not. You got to give yourself permission to feel your experience how you would feel it. You don't have to like a C-section. I know there's women that schedule them like they're getting their teeth cleaned. Well, that's not me. And I didn't like things forced on me. I didn't like it. I felt tricked. And just the combination of all of that, it was just sprung on me last minute. I personally felt like I failed as a woman, that I couldn't push my son out. I took that very, very hard. And that was just me. But what I didn't like is that women made you feel like you were dramatic or tripping because you had to get a C-section, or how his mother said, oh, I had two. And it's when people say things like that that I get why women keep stuff to themselves. And I didn't even know postpartum was so common until after months of after that C-section, that my sister started calling our friends who had babies, and they all told her that they had postpartum secretly as well. Why we have to hide it is because what we do to each other is horrible, and we need to stop. And I'm just here to put that information out. And to all you new mommies who don't know what to expect, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just being honest that if you do get a C-section, the healing process is a little bit longer. And give yourself permission to feel whatever you're feeling. Let it come up and come out. Different women have traumas and different things in their background that come out during pregnancy. This is where you need to shut out all the naysayers and the negativity, and you get surrounded by your real ones and the ones that love you, that will support you and uplift you. And don't be embarrassed to speak about what your process is. Some women have it easy. Some people pop babies out. Some women had no C-sections. Some women love them. That's your prerogative. But for those of you that were like me, scrolling right now, trying to look for hope and inspiration to avoid that process again, I get that. So I'm going to tell you what I did to avoid that whole traumatic experience. My relationship just went left. I was crying a lot. I was real snappy. I just went from sweet to not even recognizing myself. And my mate at that time used that as an opportunity to treat me poorly, which dissolved the relationship. But I wish that I had somebody more mature at that time. So in conjunction with all of that I was going through and no one to really talk to about it, I just felt like I was sinking. And I'm just glad that my sister caught it. Now, this is my experience with my first son and my first, delivery, and I'll get in more detail, but she caught it. She said, I don't recognize you, what's going on? And we came to the conclusion with calling one of my mommies that I was a nanny 4 years ago. She's a doctor. They just helped us figure it out that it was postpartum, and I didn't even know. But what was sad was when I started to talk about it, people shut you up and they shame you. And that's something that I want to shed light on. And I think women, as this culture we breed of bullying each other or judging each other's parenting and just everything to womanhood and parenting and relationships, we got to stop. So fast forward to my story with my daughter. I was 10 days overdue. I had a successful VBAC. And I declined the C-section not once, but twice. Yes, I did. I did that. And I did hide behind my sister. I remember the first time I declined it. I didn't know how to say no. And she says no and she mean no. She's one of those type of people, when she says no, there's no but after. So I hid behind that because I could say no, then people keep pressing it. Sometimes I'll say yes. But I was for it. I used her voice. She said everything I wanted to say. But she told the doctor no. And they told me that I was a week overdue and that I had to have the C-section. And she came back and said, why? She started questioning the doctor. And then the doctor couldn't really give answers as to why I had to have a C-section without it being a medical emergency, just because she measured the baby to be a certain size. And then she said, well, I could give you another week extension. Well, that extension came and left. And so I just ended up saying no. Said no to the C-section. I appreciate doctors and what they do, but they do a generalization, and that's not applicable to all women. And so at the end of the day, I'm just glad that my daughter did come 10 days overdue, because it showed me what I was made of. So I'm saying all that to say that, my sister had me take C-section out of my vocabulary. I changed it to nope section. I didn't say the word C-section because I had such a traumatic experience in association with that word that I would say procedure. And that worked for me. But when I'm here to tell you, ladies, you can do it. If you're looking to do a raw birth, I had a COVID baby. I had to birth with a mask. It's a mindset, but I worked really, really hard. I literally, if you guys are like me, for those women that you just didn't even want kids after a C-section, it's a lot of mental work. I prepped that 9 months. I was determined. I wouldn't sway. And it took work. You have to be headstrong. You have to have your mind made up, and you can do it. But I'm here to tell you that I did not even go into the hospital until I was 8 centimeters dilated and didn't even know it. So I'm saying all that to say that the pain was not that bad. So when my son, I was immediately induced, given the epidural, so I didn't feel anything. So when my daughter, this was my first time feeling the feelings, the surges, the discomfort. That was my first time in experiencing it, because it was robbed from me my first pregnancy, and I loved it. So I'm just here to tell you, you could do it. And I'm a baby with pain. Like, I could cut my finger, I'm done. I'm not even cooking no more. So it's like, you could do it, and you just click into something. You will just see what you're made of. You have to know that your body knows what to do. You have to know that your baby knows what to do, and you have to trust it. It's a whole system going on in there that they don't really need you in a way to get it done, and you have to trust that. So I'm just here to say that you can do this. You can do it raw, and you got this. But what I will tell you, it is definitely a mindset. I labored for 12 hours before I even went to the hospital. So if you can imagine, then I had Braxton Hicks for about 7 to 8 weeks prior to even giving birth. And those Braxton Hicks feel like the real thing. So all you people that they're like, it's just Braxton Hicks, baby, they sure don't tickle. So I'm just here to tell you that you got this. But what I like about the Braxton Hicks is when I was in actual labor, I almost couldn't tell the difference. So I think that played a big part in by the time I got there and I was 8 centimeters and didn't even know it. Well, I was pre-laboring for like 2 months before I even went into actual labor. And you can do this. For you first-time moms, I know you guys always ask, how does it feel? And I know people say it's kind of like period cramps. Yes, it's like that, but stronger. But the beauty of it is they get close together, and it lasts about 60 seconds. You could do anything for 60 seconds. So you just got to do different things. For me, water worked. The water was my best friend. And then my sister did a hip squeeze. So I would literally bend over, girl, y'all, was butt naked. My booty and woo-ha was all in her face. And she was down there just 12 hours of helping me. I could feel her little hand shaking like this. And she would squeeze my hips for those 60 seconds. And then I would breathe. I'd have about 2 minutes before I'd have it again. And in that time, you just breathe, get it together. I was eating ice cubes. I would sniff lavender, just different things to just get my mind refocused. And it is so doable. And what I mean by I had an almost natural birth, I did break down after 12 hours and went to the hospital, and I asked for epidural. Crazy part, how the ancestors work, it did not take. So I kept putting out I wanted a natural birth and raw, and I got that. So the epidural only took on half of my body. So the left side didn't feel anything, but I felt everything on the right side, which made it worse because it's like it threw my brain off. I rather would have picked one, either nothing or felt it. And so by the time I got in the hospital, from checking in to getting in the room, getting dressed, the doctors checking my cervix and pushing her out, was probably right under 2 hours she was out. And my baby was big. She was 8 pounds. How many ounces? About 8 pounds, 7 ounces. And I'll insert some pictures below. But I did that. And when I tell you I was determined, and I had moments where I got weary and I just refocused. So I'm just here to encourage you that you're scrolling. You can do this. And you're going to have moments where you're like, I complain. My sister would tell you, I'm not trying to make it beautiful. I remember in the labor, she got a piece of a video. I'm going to put it in there. I was like, I want to go to the hospital. I'm not doing it anymore. And she was like, you got this. You don't know. I was even asking to smoke a little weed, y'all. I got that exhausted. I was like, just give me a puff, something. I need something. And like I said, I was a baby. So if I'm a big baby, I literally wanted to smoke a puff of weed. You could do this. And she just kept distracting me. You got this. I get it. You know, she validated my feelings. And in my head, I was like, oh, if I could just pull one of her braids out. You just get so grumpy. But I stayed focused. She helped me stay focused. And I could have really gave birth at home. And so I just need you guys to know that doctors give a generalization. That does not mean it applies to you. Both of my babies were past the due date. So they don't guess correctly when it comes to my babies. My daughter was 10 days overdue. And they kept scaring me, saying I could break my pelvis, horror stories. She could be too big to come out. You could expose her to infection. The placenta can stop giving her nourishment. Every fear tactic they could use to get that gosh darn C-section. My body knows what to do. And so at the end of the day, I didn't listen. And I stayed focused. And I knew they couldn't stand me. But you got to look them right in the face and say no. So just like you parent for that baby when that baby is out the womb, you do the same thing while that baby is in the womb. I said no. You not finna cut her out. So at the end of the day, just like when I'm mama bear when she's out, I was mama bear when she was in. So you can't give her something synthetic that my body can do naturally way better. And that's what I held on to. So in comparison, they cut my son out early. The day that I was 40 weeks, they scheduled the C-section, broke my water, and he ended up having jaundice, and it was just a mess. With my daughter, they thought she had jaundice, nothing. She was just very light-skinned because her dad is light-skinned. And she was fine. My body gave her everything she needed. So trust yourself, trust your body, trust your baby. And that is the time when you speak up and you put out what you want. Now, for those of you, if it's a medical emergency, by all means. But for those of you that had a doctor that is just C-section happy, because you get about $8,000, $5,000 to $7,000 for a natural birth, C-section, you getting $30,000, $40,000. I could see why they push those. And then my doctor at the time, she was like, oh, I'll be assisted with another doctor. Well, if you need assistance to slice me open, I ain't the one you practicing on. So that really discouraged me. Just being honest. It'll be me and another doctor doing it together. Wait, hold up. Why y'all need two doctors? So I really wasn't going to do it. But I just think the less man intervention, the better it is for your body. And I'm so that. And I am a naturalist. I'm not big on medicines and stuff, so I'm one of those. But you could definitely do it. I will insert pictures below of my precious river. And then I will be doing another video about Roderick's story. And which one?
River Story 2.
Oh, and River Story 2. So I'm just trying to get out there and encourage all of you looking for motivation. You can do it. It's coming from a big baby. And I did it. Like I said, I didn't even know I was 8 centimeters. When and for you women, it's your first time when they check your cervix. This fist that the nurse got, hope you get you a little one, because that thing is going all the way up in there. And I didn't know that my first go. I was just like traumatized. I was like, she fisted me. And so that's how they check your cervix. They gotta get their hands up in there and they use their fingers, and based on 2, 3 fingers, whatever, they could tell how many centimeters dilated you are. It does not tickle. So when they said I was 8 centimeters, I was like, what? I only got 2 more to go? And I wish I just didn't get the epidural, because I thought I was gonna get a nap. They gave me the epidural, and next thing you know, they came in like 20 minutes later as soon as I got comfortable and said it's time to push. What? Like it was a waste. So anyway, you could do this. And I did have a COVID baby. They do what to expect during COVID. I will also make a video about that below, even just breathing through the mask. So one thing they make you do is they tell you to take a breath and hold it, and then you have to push while holding your breath. That is the hardest thing to do with a freaking mask on. And so I just felt like I was about to pass out, because they're telling me to take in air, and there is no air with that mask. So that was very difficult. They didn't allow, more than one person in a hospital. You can't even bring your mate in to even see the gender of the baby around 16 weeks. So for those of you, just prepare, and I'll tell you what we did outside of the hospital to have that experience with the both of you and to make yourself comfortable with all the new COVID rules. So Feel free to comment below if you have any questions. What I'm just here to tell you, ladies, is you have to work on the mental. And yes, the surges can get strong. I labored for 12 hours. So just know that you got to focus on different things. I remember at one point I got so exhausted. I had the picture of my son when he was a baby. And I remember I was breaking down, and my sister she was pulling out all the stuff. She got the picture of my son, and just seeing his beautiful little face, it just gave me another second wind. And then I just want to touch on too that the doctor, I ended up having to get, because you get what doctor was on call depending on when you go on labor. So my actual doctor that was assigned to me wasn't on duty. And it was the doctor that forced me into the C-section the first go. When I tell you, when she walked in the room, I was instantly triggered. Just the sight of her just triggered me back until when she forced me into that first C-section. And I literally lost everything I worked all these 9 months training my mind to do. And she just represented a big C-section to me. And she was such a jerk. I remember she came in and she was like, "Oh, I see you declined the C-section twice." I said, "Yes, I did." And she said, "Well, I need you to know that everything has to go perfect or you're getting another C-section." She didn't examine me or nothing. She just came in the room with that much heat, like she was setting me straight, that I called twice about not getting a C-section. And it almost deflated me, but you have to be mentally strong. I said, "Nope." I said, "I'm not getting a C-section. That's it." I had this amazing nurse. I wish I could put her name out there. I just don't want to put her name out there for, just her job. And she was just the sweetest lady. She was like 4 foot nothing but a powerhouse. She had these piercing ocean blue eyes, blonde hair, little bitty. She's just little and dainty. And I remember she grabbed me. She treated me like a daughter. And she grabbed me by my cheeks. And she grabbed my hand. And I remember thinking, her hand is so soft. I don't know why I focused on that. And she locked eyes with me, and she was just so gentle. And she said, "You are not going to have a C-section. I promise you, you're not having a C-section. And I want you to know that God told me you're not having a C-section. Do you understand me?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she was like, "You got this. We're going to do this. You listen to what I say, and you will not have a C-section." And the particular nurse, I knew it was something about her because all the nurse just gave her this reverence. Like you would have thought she was the doctor. And that nurse, when she walked out, I forgot this part. She said, "That woman is amazing. She's been a nurse for 30-something years." And she said, "I've seen her do things with women that we didn't think was possible." She said, "If she promised you you're not having a C-section, I can guarantee you you're not." And I just remember thinking, whoa. And when that woman said that, it's just something came over me. So sometimes the doctors, they got to know when to quit. They treat you like a number. They just act so cold. But you can get these amazing nurses. The nurses are it. And those 2 nurses, when I tell you, I went at the perfect timing. It was at nighttime. I didn't have a bunch of other women giving birth. I got a lot of individualized attention. She was letting me push and labor. She was like, "Hey, your daughter's heartbeat dropped a little. Let's flip you to the other side." But the first time that happened with my son, the doctor rushed me off to the C-section. With her, she flipped me to the other side. She said, "Oh, okay, your daughter likes the right side better than the left." Then she came back and said, "Your baby's heart rate's going up and down. When they busted her water, she doesn't like it dry. Let me put more water in there." Then my baby regulated. So she went out her way to just do these extra steps to make me and the baby comfortable. And it was because of her that I know that, and my determination, that I ended up having that successful VBAC. And then she let me push, and she tried different things. She let me labor with the peanut ball. She held one leg up. And what did it for me, and I want to tell women this, they tell you to push like you're pooping. Now me, I'm a very visual person. You can't tell me to push like I'm pooping, because I push and I actually release stool. That's not where it comes from. So what worked for me was, you know how you do a Kegel? That area, do a Kegel right now, that feeling of a Kegel, that's where you push. So when I was told that, I was able to get her out. But when they kept saying push like you're pooping, she said the baby's head was just floating out, going back, floating out, going back. But when she told me to push from where that Kegel muscle is, My baby came right on out. The next thing I know, her head was out. And then they finally went and got that doctor once the head was out. But at that point, I think she let me get to that point so far so that the doctors couldn't make me uh, force me into a C-section because the baby's head was already out. And I'm just so grateful for her, and it just restored me. So now I'm currently pregnant again. Yes, I'm going to do it again because I know what to do and I'm ready and I feel empowered. And when I pushed my daughter out, so push where you will from the feeling of a Kegel, because for me with my son, pushing was the hardest thing I'd ever did because they were coaching me wrong. And it's not natural to push on your back anyway. So when they give you epidural and you can't move and you're trying to push from your back and they're saying push like you have to poop, well, you do have to poop because the baby's pushing on everything. And so it's just very confusing. And then they gave me these handles. Those handles were life-saving for me. So I was just pushing and pushing for 20 minutes and her head was just going like this. And they're like, you're not pushing hard enough. I was pushing with everything in me. I was starting to get tired and discouraged. Mind you, I had already labored for 12 hours. So ask for the handles. That worked wonders. So with the handles, and then you hold your breath and you push. Oh, she came out like 3 or 4 pushes after that. So just letting you know, if you're on your back and you get the epidural, it's not a natural position. It pinches your spine and your pelvis. It pinches it off. So it's already not easy to push like that. For me, those handles got it done. If they would have gave that to me in the beginning, I'd have pushed my daughter out in less than 10 minutes. But when they're making you hold your breath and just push, you're just straining. It was just a lot going on. So push from where you would with a Kegel, and don't be afraid to ask for those handles. And those handles and pushing for me like I'm doing a sit-up, that pushed her out. And that gave it enough force to get her head out more. And then once the head and shoulders was out, everything else popped out. So for a lot of women, you guys said pushing was hard. It's because they're not telling you where to push from. And that little tidbit would have helped me. So I helped somebody with that. Other than that, you can do it. And you'll feel so empowered. And once that baby's out, those intense surges and that discomfort, it immediately stops. You have some cramping if the afterbirth doesn't come out with the baby. Don't let them rush you either, because your body has to be ready to deliver that afterbirth. That same C-section happy doctor yanked it out. And she cut the umbilical cord without our permission because I wanted to delay the cord cutting. She cut it anyway. And so you just got to really be careful. Make sure you get a doctor that just isn't so cold. And that worked for me. But anyway, she yanked the placenta out. I wouldn't have had any complication if she didn't do that because it caused me to hemorrhage and bleed. So you need to have someone in there speaking up for you. I'm going to put these people's links below, but I use Bridget Taylor. She was amazing. She has meditation videos. She explains the process on different stages of labor. She was amazing. I learned a lot from her. So I will put her link below. She helped me towards the end. I just remembered her meditation videos. I would just saturate my mind. And you have to watch listening to people's negative stories. I remember my husband's mother kind of snapped on me and was like, my sister's baby died. She did a natural birth. She had the baby 3 days and the baby died. And she was just telling me the stories. And it almost traumatized me. It almost broke me down. So you cannot listen to naysayers and people's negative stories. You have to tune it out. You have to stay focused and just know that it's going to work in your favor. Demand it. If you believe in the law of attraction, see the end result you want. You have to stay focused on that and watch people's opinions, because people will put their trauma on you, and you don't need that because you're already going through this intense transition in your body, hormones, and things can happen, but you guys just got to stay focused and positive. So I had to watch people's negative opinions. It almost messed me up. You're 10 days overdue. Well, what if this? What if that? Well, you could do what if all day. But it worked for me. And it was so amazing. The fear left. Once I got past the trauma of the C-section, and what I'll tell you is my C-section scar looked like somebody had cut me with a rugged knife. I kid you not. After I had my successful VBAC with my daughter, the scarring cleared up. It looks amazing. I had to show my sister, and she was like, because it was mental. And so she would even tell me, love on that womb, rub on that womb, get that trauma out of the womb, speak to your womb, tell your womb, thank you for life. And I did those things, and it was just, I seen that transition. It just looked different. And I ran and showed her. She wasn't shocked. I was. So she's such a hippie. She's a tree hugger. Animals come to our door, birds, and she feeds the squirrels. Like, she's a hippie. But when I tell you, the stuff she talks about really works, and she does her research. And so for me, I was just so grateful that she was just saturating my mind with stuff. She was sending me videos every day, YouTube videos, positive ones, and she just saturated my mind with positivity that I ended up having a positive outcome. Stay focused. I know you get discouraged in the end. You can't sleep, you can't eat. It was so bad for me. I was surviving on Ensures and prenatal pills. I could not eat. Heartburn is crazy. I used to just feel like my chest was on fire. So if you're one of those, I'm not a big eater. And you can't really sleep. You're just uncomfortable. But just stay focused. Don't come let them poke and prod you, because then that increases your chance of needing more medical intervention. Trust the process. So my mucus plug came out the night before. My sister had me do a big old walk at the park. And that worked. And I will do a video. We did the Midwife's Brew twice. That drink, I have the stories. I will insert the videos. It made me have labor, false labor, for 12 hours. I'm ready to go to the hospital. I'm like, this is it. I'm counting my contractions, and then nothing. Nothing. So the Midwife's Brew did not work for me. I will be doing a video on that. And you cannot pay me to eat almond butter. That's one of the ingredients in the drink. And no, I would not do it. So I did the doggone drink twice, and it didn't work. And I'm watching people's videos. They did it and went into labor the next day. Didn't work for me. So what worked was walking. And my baby came when she wanted. That's so her personality. She's Miss Virgo, and River is gonna do what she wants to do when she wants to do it. So you just gotta understand, if you have stubborn, strong-willed babies like me, you're not forcing them out. And so I just have so many different things to tell you. I can't squeeze it all in this video, but please subscribe, comment below on any questions you may have. I'm also going to discuss how I got my milk supply up. So I had 2 deep freezers full of milk. I rented the hospital grade pump, the Medela, and I will tell you that. If you have babies with sensitive skin, both of my babies have eczema. I will show you what I use for that, what I used for cradle cap. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I am currently pregnant, so I'll be documenting this journey and keeping you guys posted along the way. I'm determined to eat more healthy this go, and I will let you know the difference between my eating habits this journey. So I appreciate you all for watching. Please subscribe, comment below with any questions you may have. I'll try to answer them, and I will probably be doing about a video or 2 a week. So stay tuned. I have a lot of jewels to give you. I'm going to just be honest and upfront. Don't let mommy bullies bully you, mommies. This is your first go. Give yourself permission to labor how you labor, not how your grandma and your mother labored 10, 20 years ago. And it's okay to have your journey. And women, we have to stop doing that. Stop bullying people. And I'm one too. I'm kind of feisty. Don't let me catch you on the street, because I'll put my hands on you. I ain't that mature yet. So you got to watch it with me. But I'm just saying, for other people that you real sweet, don't let them bully you. With me, watch it. You get boo-bop. I'm just putting that out there too. I'm feisty. Just thought I'd end with that. Well, y'all enjoy, and I can't wait to see you on my next video. Next video uploading is my story, my Roderick story with my son and the C-section and what I went through, and you know, how my relationship dissolved as a result of postpartum, and I didn't know. So stay tuned, you guys. Thank you for watching, and all you mamas, congratulations, and you got this. Stay focused. Bye.